Good morning. This is a Sunday in fall, sort of a dreary day, but it's October the 16th, 1988, and we're here, and praise the Lord, we have the day. I'm Edna Carlson, lifetime member of Immanuel Lutheran Church, which is now celebrating its 135th anniversary year. And today we are very delighted to have as our guest speaker the Reverend Eric J. Gustavson Jr., son of the pastor who built our magnificent and unique church edifice in the 1950s. Eric, I should call you Reverend Gustavson, but anyway, it's wonderful to have you here. We're so delighted.
This has been a wonderful trip back for me. Great reunion time, and I'm just really thrilled at the opportunity to be with you today.
We're sure happy that you're here, and let's kind of reminisce now. When you came to Chicago and to Immanuel, because your father was accepting the call to our church, well, how old were you?
Well, I was 4 years old.
I kind of thought something. And your sister was a little older.
Oh, she's much older than me.
I don't think so. Now, do you recall when you left the East and came here? How did you feel leaving your friends there and coming to Chicago? You're only 4, but even so.
Well, there's so many memories of those first impressions. We left a totally different kind of neighborhood. And I remember, even at 4, they claim you're not supposed to remember back that far, but I remember the neighborhood, which was kind of residential and so on. And then I remember us coming here and how awesome it really seemed to me. All of these big buildings. I looked out and there was no grass in our yard, really. Cement backyard. I remember vividly one of my first impressions was the little park across the street, which sort of eased the move, and it was pretty significant in my life. In fact, my mother tells me that for several months I experienced some, I guess, what you would call psychosomatic symptoms, stomach aches, things like that. And I think that was just part of the grief, in a sense, of leaving.
That's right.
And feeling a little overwhelmed by the largeness of this area.
Now then you went to Sunday school here. Do you recall any teacher that...
Well, I remember, I don't remember too many names of teachers. I remember, of course, a name that always comes to my mind is Mrs. Slay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if she taught me, but she had the choir, didn't she?
Yes, she had the choir.
And I remember those days. I remember some of the productions you directed that I was a part of up on the old stage.
That's right.
And maybe that's where my penchant for the dramatics started, because that's what I majored in college, was speech and drama. And those opportunities at an early age to be in front of people were real important, I think.
I think that's very important, especially for one who finally gets to be a minister.
Yeah, every week I get to do it.
Yes. Now, you went to Sunday school here. You went to Haight School.
Yeah.
You went to Haight. And then you were... Well, what did you think when you saw them start digging for the church? Was that something special?
Well, it was exciting as a little boy, because it opened up a playground over here that was just incredible. I mean, all of the big holes. I mean, right here where we're sitting, I remember all the excavation, and what a place for boys to play in. And in those days we were playing cowboys and Indians and war, and we'd be climbing in and out of all this construction. It was just great.
Yes.
Dangerous, I'm sure, but
but still, just think what it accounted for.
Oh,
A beautiful big edifice.
Yeah.
Now, you were confirmed here.
1957.
Yes, by your father. And do you remember any of the confirmands?
Oh, sure. In fact, I was out with one last night reminiscing. Judy Larson.
Oh, for goodness sakes, yes.
Well, she was part of the youth group. She was, I think, a year younger than me. But I remember, it's funny. You know Bill Cosby, the comedian?
Yes.
He always talks about the mother's curse. That someday you will have children who are just like you were. And confirmation was one of those times. I had my dad as a teacher,
Oh, yes.
And I wasn't exactly the most quiet kid around. And I remember getting booted out of class more than most of the kids. And today, now I've got my own son in confirmation, and he is a motor mouth. And I got to take care of him once in a while. So some things come around, don't they?
They certainly do. Well, then, after confirmation, did you go to Luther League?
Oh, yes.
You went to Luther League.
I remember all the youth directors. Uncle Milty, do you remember him, the big guy?
Yeah.
And John Holt, and
Yes.
Darlene. And that was a significant part of my upbringing. We went places, and we had the softball team and basketball team. And of course, the gym was there all the time. The youth center was a major part of my early teen years.
The Luther League, was that upstairs or was that downstairs? The church was in Founders Hall at that time before the building was built. And where we have the kitchen now, that was a Luther League place. Was that when you were there, or was it upstairs?
I don't remember a particular room in terms of Luther League.
Yeah.
Well, see, by the time I was in Luther League age, this church was built.
That's
so the youth center was going great guns.
Yeah.
So I think we met up in the rooms off of the gym.
Yeah. Now there was another thing that maybe you don't remember, the dummy elevator that we had from the first floor to the second floor.
I remember that. I hadn't thought of it.
I was going to ask you whether you ever rode that dummy elevator.
I probably tried. I don't think I ever got a ride.
We had that because we had the kitchen upstairs.
It was a rope.
Sure, it pulled.
Say, I was talking to Pastor McKenzie yesterday, and he doesn't know about this. Do you know that there are tunnels that run under this building?
Yes, that I know.
Well, I discovered those.
Is that right?
And there's I know where the trap door is. There's one trap door, and then it's a pipe tunnel. And we kids used to, when the janitor wasn't around, we'd sneak down there and crawl through those tunnels, and it came out in the wall of the boiler room.
Yes, yes, that's what they tell me.
And it was great fun.
What do you know? Well, I think that's something that you remember that, because not very many people do. And when I think that I do, I realize that I'm quite a bit older.
Hey, I'll find the trap door. We'll go crawling through the tunnels today.
No, we won't. We just won't. Was there something special now at that time, during the time you were here, that you want to say? Maybe I should suggest you had a pet.
Oh, Josephine.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I still have a dog. I always have. She was our little Sheltie, our little dog. And I don't know. I just remember her with great fun. She was kind of exasperating at times.
Well, that she was, especially for one certain time. Our family invited you people over because we were having all the relatives, and we invited the Nebo pastor, Reverend Hanson. So you were going to come, but then you said no, you wouldn't come because Josie was not invited. And well, we said, sure, Josie should be invited. So you were happy that the dog got an invitation.
I remember that.
Yes. Oh, she was a doll.
I remember that day because, as we were sharing before, when we go to your house, I really thought we were going to the country. And I remember a house full of people.
Yes.
A lot of good food.
And you know, after that, every one of the relative families had a dog, and they were provoked because their dog was not invited. And I said, well, the pastor dog had precedence, so there you have it.
Listen, my wife still says to me, I think you love your dog more than the kids. So.
Oh, there. Well, when did you first decide to be a minister? I mean, were you at Augustana first?
No, I went to Gustavus in Minnesota. I fought it, let's put it that way. And in fact, there was a period in my life when I was a great, kind of a cynic, a kind of a critic of the church. There was a period in my life when I couldn't be found near a church, really. And that doesn't mean I didn't have a belief in God and that I didn't have a spiritual base, and a lot of that was formed right here, of course, early on. But I really believe in signs and in the work of the Holy Spirit, who sometimes comes at us in very mysterious ways. I was on my way to the Dallas Repertory Company after college, and I came back here to Chicago for the summer. My folks were living in Evanston, and I was working construction on Madison and Ashland as a laborer on a Chicago Housing Authority building. And in the course of that summer, some major things happened in my life. I felt that kind of stirring, that kind of tug, that I chose to say, that is God saying to me, try the seminary. And also in the course of that summer, I fell in love with Deidre, and that's a whole story in itself. But major occurrences happened in my life in the summer of 1966. I decided to go to the seminary and try it because I knew that if I went off to Dallas, somehow I knew inside I would never come back. And also, Deidre and I were married here at Immanuel in September of 1966. And I started seminary the day after our wedding. So we didn't have a honeymoon or anything. Still haven't managed to get that in, and we've been married 22 years now.
For goodness sake.
But,
well, you were here one time with a play group, and
that's right.
they gave it. And at the time, I was there, and I thought, no, that is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I told you that at the time, just in conversation. That was not for you, because I felt you were destined for better things than that. My goodness.
Yeah. Well, it's strange. I think some of the things you learn in doing that help you in the ministry.
Oh, it does. It does.
And the kind of empathy that's involved in the theater.
So often we get student pastors, and they do not progress their voice out. It's pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a great help.
Yeah.
Now, when were you ordained?
1971.
1971. And where was that?
Here in Chicago, Lutheran School of Theology.
Oh,
And it's interesting. It took me 5 years to get through seminary. I started seminary at Maywood, and
yes.
There were lots of new chapters opening in my life, and I really struggled that first year. And that's when I was directing the touring theater group, and I was driving a mail truck in Melrose Park, and really trying to find myself. Then we moved to the south side, and it was like a whole new world opened up, and I really started to focus that yeah, indeed, this is really where I should be. But it's interesting, at the end of all that study, when it got near graduation, I went through another kind of spiritual identity crisis. The thought of going into a parish and being a pastor was so overwhelming to me, and I felt so inadequate that I almost quit. With a month to go, I said, there's no way I can be a pastor. I don't know enough. I'm not, I just really was frightened. And that's why I believe in signs. Because I wrestled with this, I talked to professors, and one day, I just literally got on my knees. And I said, help. Just help.
Yes.
Give me an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this sounds maybe a little hokey, but
Yes.
the very next day, the bishop's office in Minnesota called me
No.
and said, we think you'd be a good match for this parish up in the North Woods. Are you interested in interviewing? And I said, boy, if that isn't a sign, I don't know what is. I still went with a great amount of trepidation and feelings of inadequacy.
Mm-hmm.
That first church was much like the church at Philippi. They were long-suffering and patient, and it was a good training ground for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, and then you had other ministries there.
I was at Cross Lake, Minnesota for 4 years.
I think that's where we saw
That's
you
right.
went to. Yes.
And we had a drive-in church there for the tourists
Mm-hmm.
that we built, and that was great. Then I left there in 1975 and went to Elam Lutheran Church in Duluth. I loved Duluth. We loved living there. I was there 10 years. And then 3 years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago, I felt that I had kind of arrived at a kind of plateau there in Duluth, and I needed some challenge and so on. The opportunity to go to St. John's Church in Mound opened up, and we're loving it there. I have been blessed with the kind of parishes I've been associated with. Just good people and, faithful folks.
And I found out that last year you gave a sermon on Sunday in a boat on the lake at Minnetonka.
Well, my hobby is boating. And
What's that, biblical though,
well,
really?
we called it our Galilean service now. We've done it 2 years in a row. And people come by boat to the worship service, and they come and sit on the beach. And I thought, here we live with this wonder, this natural wonder, this lake. Why not use it? Because our Lord, many of his sayings, his teachings were done at the seaside. And so we've had fun with that. And then we have an outdoor service every Sunday in the summer.
There was another thing that I thought was pretty cute. At the time that you had the sermon, one of your boys was in a rowboat and taking up a collection. I think that was very good too, because people can't get out of getting a collection. They really should.
That's right. They went out with a little rowboat that I have and passed the plate.
Well, that's really good. Is there anything further that you'd like to tell us that you think we'd like to hear, share with us?
Oh, well, my heart is full today because this has been a wonderful trip back in time for me. And, I'm not sure what, except to just wish Immanuel God's blessings for the future and just to affirm the good ministry you're doing here.
Well, it was started here by your father, and he certainly did a good job too, I tell you that. We do appreciate your taking the time to come here and being with us, and we do appreciate all of that. I'm sorry that Deidre couldn't be here, but I know she's a TV personality and has her commitments there in the different places in Minnesota. She's quite a person. And with a family of three lively young boys, why, I can understand that. Please give her and the family our best, and we do appreciate your coming. And now we'll give you a little time to catch your breath and prepare for a sermon that you're going to give at the pulpit that your father designed and preached from.
Big shoes to try to fill in that pulpit.
Well, I don't know. I think you can do it too very well.
Well, thanks. Well, it's a privilege to be back.
Well, we're happy to have you there. Okay.